They laughed when they first saw him. Too small, crooked legs, no fire in his eyes. In an era when America worshipped power, speed, and spectacle, this little horse looked like a mistake, an animal born for obscurity, not glory. Yet within a few short years, that same useless horse would unite a broken nation, defeat the most powerful champions money could buy, and become a living symbol of hope during the darkest economic collapse in American history. This is the true story of Seabiscuit, a horse no one wanted, who became exactly what America needed. Seabiscuit was born in 1933, the same year the Great Depression reached its brutal depths. Banks were collapsing, factories were closing. 1 out of every 4 American workers was unemployed. Bread lines stretched across cities. Families lost farms that had been in their names for generations. The American dream felt like a lie, whispered by a cruel past. In the horse breeding world, optimism was just as scarce. Seabiscuit was foaled at Claiborne Farm in Kentucky, bred from respectable bloodlines. His father, Hardtack, was the son of the legendary Man o' War, perhaps the greatest racehorse of all time. Expectations were high. But from the start, Seabiscuit disappointed everyone. He was undersized, he had an awkward gait, he showed little enthusiasm in training. Grooms complained he was lazy, trainers found him stubborn. He preferred sleeping to sprinting, eating to exercising. He was rushed into racing as a 2-year-old not because he showed promise, but because his owners wanted to recover their losses quickly. The result was brutal. By the end of his second year, Seabiscuit had raced 35 times, an exhausting schedule for any young horse, and had lost far more often than he won. He was used as a rabbit, a horse sent out to set the early pace and tire out the competition for more valuable stablemates. He was whipped, pushed, and forgotten. In 1935, he was sold for $8,000, a modest price even then. No headlines, no applause, just another failed horse changing hands. But fate was quietly rearranging itself. At the same time, 3 deeply wounded men were searching, without knowing it, for redemption. Charles Howard had built a fortune selling automobiles in California. Once a poor farm boy, he rose through grit and innovation, only to watch his life shatter when his young son died in a tragic accident. His marriage collapsed soon after. Money couldn't fix grief. Success couldn't quiet guilt. Tom Smith, known as Silent Tom, was a reclusive trainer who preferred horses to people. He had an uncanny ability to understand animals others labeled impossible. He believed a horse's mind mattered as much as its muscles. Smith trusted patience, kindness, and intuition over whips and stopwatches. Red Pollard, Seabiscuit's future jockey, was born to Irish immigrant parents who lost everything during the Depression. His family became migrant workers, riding freight trains in search of food. Pollard learned early how quickly the ground could disappear beneath your feet. Small, injured, and often overlooked, he fought for every opportunity. In 1936, these 3 broken lives intersected with a broken horse. Harvard bought Seabiscuit not because he was impressive, but because Tom Smith saw something others didn't. Smith noticed how Seabiscuit responded to quiet voices, how he grew anxious under pressure, but relaxed when given space. He believed the horse wasn't lazy, he was confused, mistreated, misunderstood. Smith took Seabiscuit west, away from the elite racetracks of the East, to California. He changed everything. He let Seabiscuit rest, he fed him well, he trained him slowly, he spoke to him softly, he allowed him to be himself. Something remarkable happened. The horse began to wake up. Seabiscuit's racing style was unconventional. He didn't explode from the gate like champions were supposed to. He lagged behind early, then surged forward with stubborn determination, weaving through traffic like a street fighter. He didn't run beautifully, he ran angrily, as if proving something not just to the crowd, but to the world. With Red Pollard aboard, Seabiscuit began winning small races, then bigger ones, then races he had no business winning. Crowds noticed. Here was a horse who started from the bottom, who stumbled, who refused to quit. He wasn't elegant, he was relatable. By 1937, Seabiscuit was one of the most talked about horses in America. At a time when Americans felt powerless against banks, corporations, and fate itself, Seabiscuit did the impossible. He beat the system. He defeated expensive, perfectly bred horses owned by wealthy Eastern elites. He won races in muddy tracks, in pain, against odds that made bookmakers laugh. Each victory felt personal to fans who saw themselves in his struggle. Newspapers began framing his story as a parable of American resilience. A nation starved for hope listened. But the defining moment, the race that would turn Seabiscuit into a legend, had not yet come. In 1938, another horse dominated headlines. War Admiral, the son of Man-O-War, undefeated, flawless, powerful. He was everything Seabiscuit was not: tall, muscular, aristocratic. The media demanded a showdown. East versus West. Power versus grit. Privilege versus perseverance. Negotiations dragged on. Owners argued, conditions were debated endlessly. Finally, a match race was scheduled at Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. A simple duel, no other horses, winner take all. On November 1st, 1938, 40 million Americans followed the race by radio, nearly one-third of the entire population. In factories, bars, homes, and bread lines, people stopped to listen. At the start, something unprecedented happened. Instead of breaking late, Seabiscuit jumped the gun, a risky, aggressive move. He surged forward, shocking War Admiral and his jockey. For the first time in his career, War Admiral was uncomfortable. Down the backstretch, Seabiscuit ran stride for stride with the champion. Pollard held him steady. Coming around the final turn, Seabiscuit pulled ahead. The crowd roared. Seabiscuit won by 4 lengths. America erupted. For a few moments, the depression loosened its grip. A small, discarded horse had defeated perfection itself. The message was unmistakable. You didn't have to be born great to become great. Seabiscuit continued racing despite injuries that would have ended lesser careers. He broke bones, he limped, he rested, he returned. In 1940, against medical advice, he ran one final race, the Santa Anita Handicap, a race that had cruelly denied him victory twice before. This time, battered and aching, Seabiscuit won. Then he retired. He lived out his days quietly, far from crowds, finally allowed to rest. When he died in 1947, newspapers across the country mourned, not just a horse, but an era. Seabiscuit's legacy wasn't measured in trophies or earnings alone. It was measured in belief. During the Great Depression, Americans didn't need perfection. They needed proof that failure wasn't final, that the overlooked still mattered, that resilience could outpace raw power. A small, awkward, useless horse gave them that proof. And in doing so, Seabiscuit became far more than a racing champion. He became America's heartbeat, steady, stubborn, and impossible to break.